Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video. I want to tell my story into motherhood, the ups and the downs that my family and I had to go through to get to where we are today. And everyone has a story. Everyone has those hard moments. Everyone has those refining moments in their lives, but I truly believe that those moments shape us into the people that we are today. They build up our character, and I can look back and say I'm thankful for moments like that, but they are really hard in the moment. And so our journey looked a lot different than we thought it would look to get into having kids and starting our family. And so I wanted to talk about that today to hopefully encourage somebody who's in the same season that things can look up and get better over time. But maybe if someone's in the thick of it, just that they are seen, they feel loved, they feel like somebody understands. So let's jump into my story. My husband and I got married August 17th of 2019. We had decided that we would wait a couple years to have kids, but we didn't have a specific timeline of what that looked like. We didn't say it's going to be a year and a half, it's going to be 4 years. That, like, we didn't have anything specific. We just said a couple years sounds good. January of 2020, I got this feeling like I was ready to start having kids. I had this baby fever, you could call it. And I had always wanted to be a mom, but I didn't think only 5 months into marriage I would feel so strongly for that moment. And so I was like, well, I'll talk to my husband. And so I brought it up to him that night. And he said, I'm not ready. I don't feel like now's the time. So I didn't push him. I completely let it go. I pushed it out of my mind. I kept living life because I was happy. I was content. But I also just had this feeling like, oh man, a baby would be so nice. A baby would be so fun. But I didn't push him because I didn't want us to be on different pages going into something like this, because that's a big decision to make. And if you're not on the same page, you're starting out a family incorrectly. You both need to have that feeling of wanting that at that moment. So I pushed out of my mind. Little did I know he had been praying about it since I came to him and was talking to the Lord about that. And he came to me in March out of the blue and said, I think we should start trying. The Lord's given me a lot of peace about it. And I got so giddy. It was like, wait, really? You feel peace about this? So I had been on birth control actually since I was 17 because of like hormonal imbalance stuff. And I don't need to go into all the details, but I had been on the pill for a long time already. And we weren't telling anybody that we were going to start trying. So I couldn't like go to my mom and be like, so mom, I'm on birth control, but like I want to get off because we want to start having kids. Like, how should I do it effectively? I couldn't do that. So I finished my current pack of pills and then I just cut them loose. I was like, yeah, this is fine. But again, my body had been so used to those pills that I didn't know how long it would take for my body to like regulate again. And so we just were like kind of trying, kind of like figuring out, okay, do we like wait a month? Should we just start trying? Should we just see how it goes? Well, we found out we were pregnant end of May. So May 30th, 2020, right in the thick of all of the stuff going on in the world, we got the most magical moment to find out that we were pregnant. It was super early in the morning. We both cried. We were actually going to see my family all day, helping them pack up and move and stuff. And so I was like, how are we going to not tell people? But I was super early. We wanted to wait to find a special moment. And I ordered this mama sweatshirt that I had my eyes on for a while that I was like, when I get pregnant, I am ordering this. And so I ordered that. We hugged and embraced and just prayed for this child inside of me. It was a beautiful moment. I love it. I'll never forget it. We were in our little 1-bedroom apartment. Like I said, we both were teary-eyed and just over the moon ecstatic. And it was amazing. over the course of the next like week and a half, we were able to tell a couple family members. We wanted to do it in person. We wanted family to know before friends. So pretty much my parents and then my brother and his wife were the only ones that knew at this time, about a week later. And one friend, because I had asked her to photograph some like baby announcement photos for us. I was so excited that I told her because I wanted to get that planned. But besides that, those couple people were the only people that knew. We weren't going to see my husband's family in person yet, and so we were going to wait to tell people so we could tell them in person next time we saw them. Well, little did I know we wouldn't get to tell more people that we were pregnant before we lost the baby. We were so excited. February 11th, 2021 was the date that my app told me that the baby was going to be born. I was like, perfect. We have no family's birthdays in February. Like, this is perfect. Thinking about in our 1-bedroom apartment where the bassinet was going to go, and just my lifelong dream to become a mom was becoming true right before my eyes, and I was so excited. Sunday, June 7th of 2020, we were having some friends over for lunch. They were running a few minutes behind, and looking back, I'm thankful that they were running a few minutes behind because I went to the bathroom before they arrived and there was blood. Now, I know that it is common that some people have blood a lot in their first trimester, even throughout their whole pregnancy, that's just a common symptom that some people have. But I instantly just got this fear and this worry of something being wrong, because anytime you see blood and you're pregnant, it's just something alarming. I didn't have time to process a ton of what my body was feeling and all these things. It was just a little bit of blood. I didn't have cramping. I didn't have any of that, but our friends were coming. So I kind of just had to I cried a little bit. My husband was like, everything's gonna be okay. And then I just kind of had to not really think about it while our friends were there. As soon as they left, I called the health line, but it was a Sunday. And so they told me some major things to look for, but they were like, you should just call your doctor tomorrow morning and try to get seen to see that if it's nothing. So from that late afternoon, evening, Sunday until Monday at 8 a.m., it was rough. I just couldn't sleep. I would wake up in the middle of the night multiple times, and I have this vivid memory of waking up with just this deep sense of worry that something was wrong and that I was miscarrying this baby. Again, none of my friends knew except the one friend who was going to photograph for us. And it was lonely. I just wept uncontrollably in my husband's arms in the middle of the night because I was just so scared. I had wanted to be a mom. We hadn't told anyone. We had the sweetest surprises of telling my parents and my brother that we were pregnant, and it was like, what's going on? Like, I don't know I've never experienced this. I don't know what's going on. And my husband told me, call the health line again, just to give you some peace, just to talk to somebody. And they're great. They're 24/7. They're great. They told me the things to look for of abdominal pain or a certain backache, of things that it would be like, you need to come into emergency if you're bleeding this much, this often, all those things. Otherwise, just wait until 8 a.m. and call your doctor and try to get in. I started having some light cramps before 8 a.m. came around, and my bleeding worsened a bit, but wasn't horrible. But it was starting to get a little bit heavier. They got me in for some lab work, and it's one thing to be in a pregnancy office when everything's good and everything's great and there's no complications. And it's another thing to walk into an office surrounded by pregnant women when you're also pregnant, but something might be wrong and maybe you're losing the baby. And all the time in COVID, my husband Trevor, he couldn't come with me to any appointments, which just completely sucks, to be honest. It's just really hard. So that was June 8th that I was able to go in. June 9th, so that was June 8th that I went in, but I wasn't going to get those lab results until the following day. So I went in, but still had no answers. June 9th, I went into the doctor again and had an appointment to go over those results from my lab work. When you're pregnant, you have an HCG level. Now, your HCG level, once you're pregnant, 25 is the HCG level that they indicate a pregnancy. That's what that pregnancy tests look for. Mine was at a 31. Now, I left this appointment and was still pregnant. 31 is pregnant. Now, being a couple weeks along, the doctor said with my symptoms, she assumed it was going to drop to a 0. I still didn't hear the word that I was miscarrying. I didn't hear the word that I had already miscarried because I was technically still pregnant. But she said, with your symptoms, I'm assuming that number is going to drop to 0. Your HCG level should double every 48 hours for pregnancy, because 25 means you're pregnant, but your HCG level gets into the thousands. And so the fact that mine was at a 31 was still really low for being like, at this point, like 5 weeks pregnant, 4 or 5 weeks. I really tried to keep it together. I deep down knew what I thought was happening, but tried to hold on to any hope that I was still pregnant and that bleeding could stop and that I wouldn't lose this baby. But again, my husband couldn't be there. I tried to hold together, but I ended up crying at the office, and the ladies were really sweet and comforting, but it was a lot to take in. A lot of emotions over a matter of like 2 weeks to find out I'm pregnant, and then to start bleeding, and to tell family to find out I start bleeding, and then all these things. At this point, I was starting to have more cramping, and I was starting to have a lot of clots in my blood. They weren't huge, but there were a lot of them every time I'd go, a lot of clots. June 10th, the next day, this is now my 3rd day in a row at the doctor's office, I got a shot of Rogam. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on Rogam, but pretty much it's a shot that if you are a negative blood, if the woman has a negative blood type, which I have O negative, you need to get this shot in pregnancy. And then after you have the baby too. If you have a negative blood type, your body actually builds up more antibodies to fight off anything that comes into your body that was unknown. And so they gave me this shot to help me at this time. I had to get more blood work done, just getting poked and poked and poked here day after day. And the following day, I would find out the results again. So it would be 2 days later from the first time I found out of what my HCG levels were at now. At this time, I was just really angry. I know that God has a plan for me, but for being 22 years old, I started writing in my journal and having those questions of why me? I knew what was coming. I tried to hold on to any hope of my HCG level's at a 31. Maybe this baby's gonna live. But in reality, deep down, I knew that I was miscarrying this baby, and I was in the process of that, and these emotions of why me. Maybe I'll do another video another time about this part of my story, but I actually lost my brother at the age of, he was 21, I was 15, from stage 4 brain cancer. He battled for 9.5 months, and I was only 15, lost one of my best friends, my brother, and then I had a cancer scare myself with a lump that was in my neck 2 years later. My other brother had a cancer scare. And now this, I thought for 22 years old, I've had a lot of loss and hurt in my life. And why is this happening to me? I questioned, why are all these other women that don't even want to get pregnant, getting pregnant? And their baby lives. These 16-year-olds who are going out and just doing all this stuff, getting pregnant, oh, whoops, and their baby lives. And why is the baby that my husband and I have prayed for, have tried for, have longed for, why is our baby not living? I was having those thoughts. I knew God had a plan, but I was angry. I really was. And at this point, I was still bleeding. June 11th, the next day, they just called me. I didn't need to go in for an appointment. And I heard the word that I had been anticipating, and now it felt more real. It was the word miscarriage. They told me I had a miscarriage. my HCG levels were dropping, indicating I was in the process of losing this baby. Through all of my doubts, through all of the loneliness of all of this, I spent a lot of time with the Lord, and He really comforted me in a way that I really, really needed. Because like I said, I was angry. I was questioning why me? Why is this happening to me and us? And I've had so much hurt in my life. Why more hurt? I'm only 22 years old at this time. Well, I was reading in John 11 when Lazarus died and Jesus wept. Jesus took the time to weep for someone that He loved and someone that He cared about before He went into the miracle of raising Him from the dead. I learned in that moment that Jesus was there weeping with me. Jesus doesn't cause pain. He doesn't cause hurt. He doesn't cause miscarriage. And He was sitting there weeping with me. He was saying, Tia, this is not how life is supposed to end. This baby is mine. This baby is loved. This baby is in heaven with me, healed and whole. And I love you and I care about you. And I'm sad with you. And that gave me so much peace. It comforted me like I didn't know that I needed. And that anger just kind of washed away in that moment. 2 days later, June 13th, 2020, I officially stopped bleeding. So I was bleeding from the 7th of June until the 13th of June. So about the length of a normal period. To me, I was very lonely. I hadn't told really anyone that I was pregnant at this point, and so I felt awkward calling a close friend and saying, hey, I'm pregnant, but now I miscarried, so I'm not pregnant. And it'd be a lot of conversations of, wait, I didn't even know you were pregnant. I didn't even know you were trying. And I so badly wanted to get pregnant again. I thought that would heal the pain and be able to just tell people I'm pregnant without having them to know. I thought, well, then they're going to know that I was trying, and I really wanted it to be a surprise. But my husband, he was like, Tia, you need community at this time. Like, you're hurting and you need people there alongside of you. Your friends want to be there for you, but they don't even know what you're going through. Like, you need that community. So I told one of my close friends, I said, I would like to talk to you. And she listened. I cried a lot in saying, hey, I just wanted to tell you that I had a miscarriage and we were trying at this time. I was keeping it a surprise. I was still so early. I didn't tell almost anyone yet, but I'm really hurting. This is really hard and I needed to tell someone. I ended up telling a couple friends that. And they were hard conversations, but then those friends were able to be there for me, ask me how I was doing, and they were able to really pray for Trevor and I as we still longed for a baby. And even though I know that in heaven I felt so strongly this baby was a girl. I don't know if I said that, but when we found out, I instantly was like, this baby is a girl. And so I feel really strongly that we have a baby girl in heaven, and we'll get to meet her someday. And I'm really glad I could have that more community alongside of me to be with me through those hard moments, because I truly felt really alone. And I had just finished my school year teaching, and so it was the summer and I wasn't going to work. And so I had a lot of time on my hands, a lot of time to think and to journal, and I truly needed people there for me. About half a week later, on June 18th, I needed to go in and get my HCG levels tested again to see where they were at. And so at this time, my HCG levels were at a 0, which indicates that I officially lost the baby and was no longer pregnant. On July 5th, I got my period. It is still a joke to this day that my husband and I make. I went to the bathroom, I was bleeding, and I said, I need to call my mom. And so anytime Trevor and I have something like exciting, we're like, I need to tell my mom, I need to call my mom. And so it's just kind of a little joke for us that I was so excited. I was like, my body needs to regulate so we can start trying, so we can have a baby. That will help heal me to have another baby in my arms. That will help me feel better. But July 5th, 2020, my period came back, and I was happier than ever to wipe and see blood. So happy. Now, fast forward 2.5 months to September 25th, 2020. At this point, between the time my period came back to this September 25th, my cycle was really irregular. I was tracking it, but it was like 26 days, and then it was like 30 days, and then it was like just all over the place. My body was trying to regulate after having been off the pill, having gotten pregnant, having miscarried, and now my body's trying to regulate again. Like, my body's just like, whoa, what's going on? And I completely understand that. It just made it hard when we wanted to get pregnant. So I was trying to use ovulation strips, all of that kind of stuff. But on September 25th, I was at cycle day 30 and didn't have a period. And I thought, I'll take a test. All that month, I had been taking ovulation strips, and every time I took one, it showed that I didn't ovulate. And so I was like, wasn't fertile this month, we're not going to get pregnant. Well, I took a test, and it said the word pregnant. September 25th, 2020. I didn't even think I ovulated, so I was just completely shocked. We had a beautiful moment together in our bedroom as I was able to tell Trevor with a card that I had had for a really long time that was super cute, and it was on the weekend we were going to be celebrating my birthday. It was the start of a birthday weekend. I was so excited. He was so excited. He cried. Like, it was amazing. I had to really get past the fact of I wanted to be surprised and no one can know and all that stuff, because I can fall so much into that and forget that, like, all that matters is that this baby's healthy. I was worrying before too much about wanting things to be perfect and the timing to be great and to surprise everyone and to have these really cool ways to tell people. And I just got to the point of that doesn't matter. Like, yes, it's fun to have a cool way to tell someone that you're pregnant, but in reality that doesn't matter, because what matters is that a baby's healthy. Now, that whole pregnancy, I was filled with a lot of fear. I was filled with fear that I was going to go to the bathroom and see blood. Almost every time I went to the bathroom, I thought about that time I wiped and saw blood. Now, before I miscarried, I had zero fear. I had zero worry. I was like, this baby's going to live. This baby, like, miscarriage wasn't even a thought in my mind. But now miscarriage was pretty much a daily thought, because I hadn't had another baby. I didn't miscarry after having had a baby or 2 babies or 3 babies and be able to still go home to my children after work. I didn't have a child, and all I had known was loss. I had lost a brother. I had lost family members. I had lost animals, and now I lost my own child. And that emotional pain, that your body is physically carrying this child, and then the child dies and you are bleeding out that child and you are losing that child. That death inside your body is something that is very hard to explain, because that's not how life's supposed to go. Children aren't supposed to die before parents. But on June 5th, 2021, my baby boy was born. We waited to find out the gender, and it was beautiful to find out both that it was a boy. We could name him Hudson Bjorn. He was 10 pounds, 1 ounce, so a chunk. And I love him to death. He is the son that I have talked about in almost all of my videos. He comes up. And he is 15 and a half months old. Love him to death. And then 5 months postpartum, we got pregnant again. Now, we weren't trying, but we weren't not trying. We knew we wanted the first 2 close together, so we were going to start trying in the next month or 2, but we ended up getting pregnant that following November after having my son Hudson. And then July 25th of this year, our daughter Lainey J was born. And her name, Jay, her middle name, Jae, is in memory of my brother Jay, spelled Jay, who passed away from cancer when I was 15. We just celebrated and honored him with 9 years since he passed away. And I always want my kids and my family to honor him and remember him. And so even though my husband Trevor didn't get to meet him, my sister-in-law didn't get to meet him, my kids won't have gotten to meet him, I want that his name to live on. And so Hudson Bjorn and Lainey J are my perfect two little kiddos that I love so much. Miscarriage is hard. Miscarriage is unplanned. It taught me to trust in the Lord. It taught me that He's my comforter, that He is there. And even if you're nowhere in that season of pregnancy or motherhood, but you are going through something difficult, know that Jesus is there with you. He's comforting you. He's weeping with you. Like, that literally makes me feel like I could cry thinking about the fact that when I'm sad, He's sad because He loves me so much and I'm sad. And so know that today, that if you are sad, that Jesus is right there with you, comforting you. Thanks for listening to my story. Bye, guys.